The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everybody. This is TAC, T-A-C, the Angry Chicken, whatever you want to call it. It all works. We're back for another week. This is episode 231 because we just keep, because numbers work in linear fashion. I'm Garrett Wines-Earl. With me, as always, is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. And BlizzCon, guys, this is the first year I'm really just kind of losing my mind over it because I'm really not prepared. I feel like I just did this and recovered, and here we are again.
It's coming.
Yep.
It's we're what, 3 weeks away now?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right.
I feel like I just figured out like my flight and my hotel and everything, and I'm like good to go now, and I feel scrambly.
I feel good to go because I know I'm not going now.
Oh, sad day.
But
sucks.
this is actually, look, as much as I hate missing a BlizzCon, like first time I've missed it in like 6 years or something, I'm actually kind of relieved because it's always been extra stressful to do BlizzCon directly into the MJ World Championships, and my health doesn't do well during that period of time, and it's like too much in too short of a span of time. So it's kind of nice just knowing like I only have one of those trips this time, and I can really focus on that one.
Yeah.
So, it sucks, but the silver lining is I can like maybe come back not a complete wreck after like November this year.
Are you gonna do the virtual ticket?
Yeah. I mean, I might as well. I still want to watch all the stuff, so.
Well, and the virtual ticket this year is supposed to be better than before because before they basically had like the esports and the main stage and that was it. But this year they're doing like all of it. So you're going to see like all the side stages, like the stuff going on in the Dark Moon Fair. Like the virtual ticket is like too much for you to ever consume. But that means you can see exactly what you want.
And they give you VOD access for a few weeks afterwards. So
yeah, it's like a month after or something, which I don't really understand why, if you have the virtual ticket, they ever take it away. But I don't know.
I don't either.
Blizzard things.
Yeah, you should just be able to log in and watch them forever.
But yeah,
all right.
It basically means that since you can go back and watch everything on your own time, that it's infinitely easier to see everything from the virtual ticket than it is being on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has more to do with just the fact that if they wanted to do that, they'd have to have these like servers set up forever with these VODs. I don't know. It doesn't really seem that complicated, but whatever.
No.
There's a thing called YouTube.
Yeah, just give me a YouTube link, man. It don't need to be fancy. Let someone else handle that load.
If YouTube does it, then...
Yep, I think we'll find ways
I
if
feel
we
like
need to.
Blizzard can wrap its head around it, but whatever.
It all comes back to, I'm pretty sure Blizzard can handle it. That's what it comes back to. Immediately following last week where we talked, the schedule just went live. We actually had a chance to talk about some hard facts about BlizzCon. The band finally got announced, which I think this might be the earliest. It feels like for me the earliest they've announced.
It felt really early.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the plane to BlizzCon and like, oh, it's this band. But this year, it turns out it's going to be Muse. Muse is closing out BlizzCon, and I always have musical opinions, and I'm actually excited about this one.
Yeah, no, I've heard they put on a fantastic live show, and their songs are kind of built for that. I actually have a friend who is like a Muse fanatic, and he just loves talking about it's like musical opera, man, but with rock, and like basically that's kind of what they're going for with pretty much all of their stuff.
Oh,
is this
absolutely.
big kind of gigantic stadium rock feel.
Yeah.
And that's perfect for a live show. So,
like, if you grew up going to your local planetarium for the laser light show, Muse is that, but updated for like the 22nd century, a time period we haven't actually reached yet. It's insane.
Hipster rock opera.
Yeah.
And it works.
Hipster rock. That sounds like it's perfect for BlizzCon. Hipster
and
rock.
it super works. Yeah, no, it's and they're all very talented. Like it's actually like 3 guys, but now they have I'm sure a bunch of stuff going on behind them. But it's just big, loud, theatrical rock.
Well, yeah, it just sounds awesome.
It's perfect for a thing like BlizzCon.
Yeah. I'm a very passive Muse fan. Like if it comes on, I'm like, cool, that's rad. But I saw them once on a whim, and it like blew my mind. So
Sure,
I'd recommend going and seeing them.
That's a common story when it comes to Muse. I think a lot of people were like, yeah, I like that one song that was on the radio, but I didn't buy the record. And they're like, oh, and they were playing at this festival, and they were the best show of the whole damn thing.
Well, let me just reconstruct my face after it has been melted off.
I don't know. I refrained from saying anything on Twitter this year when this band was announced. I didn't even retweet it. I was like, nope. I took my licks last year. I'm not saying a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like you say, Dills, I think I know them from the radio, maybe. Like, the name is familiar, but I'm definitely not, a fan. So I have really no thoughts on this, but I
think
don't
you
think
should
I've
dip your
ever
toes
actually...
into going this year. I think you should check it out, because I know you skip the musical band
I
most of the time.
skip the music every single year. So, well, because then there's no lines for anything. And so then I can be like, everyone's at the music, and I'm like, zip, 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 zip.
It's a great time to take care of other stuff, but... when you have the press pass and you can just go, you get to go up and go right in front of the stage, you should do it. You should check it out. I didn't take advantage of that with Weird Al last year, but with Metallica played, I was just like, okay, I'm getting right up front. Blink-182, me and Garrett, we were there pretty damn close.
Yeah, see, I would have gone to Blink, but that was the year I wasn't there.
Okay. That's the last year I went and saw the musical act, as a matter of fact, because I love me some Blink-182. Yeah. Oh, that was the same year, Dills. I'm not even sure our press passes were supposed to work that way, but they just let us in, even though they had stopped letting people into the pit. Because if you remember, briefly after we were standing in the pit, Mike Morheim tried to cross through, and they wouldn't let him through.
That's right. I do remember that. But it was... We kind of got there, and we were also, there's the yellow tape. We were at the very kind of back of that yellow tape.
Yeah.
So, we kind of squeezed our way in there. But, I kind of, at this point, to me, BlizzCon, even if I don't stay for the whole musical act, I like to go over there because it just does kind of make that final feel real. It's, okay, now we're done. The music is playing and whatever. And, and a lot of times I do take off because it's a good time to try to get some more gameplay in or things like that. But I always feel like
at the Dark Moon Fair, which I discovered last year.
But I always feel like if I don't do this thing, this is a thing that's not going to happen again. And if I'm trying to buy a product, or if I'm trying to play Heroes and beta, it's well, that game's going to be out one day, and I'll be able to sit in my house and play it. But will I get to see Metallica at BlizzCon ever again? No. So I should just do it. Right. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about that kind of stuff. It's this is a one-time only thing, so might as well experience it while I'm here.
Yeah. No.
This year I won't be able to do it, so now I'm set.
So now I have to do it for you.
Yes. So damn it, Jocelyn, don't you miss out.
I'll attempt to FaceTime you from the room, Dills, even though the AT&T network and Verizon network and Sprint networks will be overloaded by the 30,000 plus nerds all trying to use the network at the same time. But I'll do my best.
The good news is that with the virtual ticket from Vegas, I know that at Sam's Town the internet is decent enough. I should be able to watch it. And we don't actually have golf those days, so I'll be there, but I won't be golfing. So I should be able to sit and watch most of the performances. But it won't be the same. It's not the same.
No. But well, I'm still looking forward to it, even though this first year I'm just it's getting here too fast. And I don't even work at Blizzard. I can only imagine what it's like over there. But Dills, what's going on with you in Hearthstone, man?
Well, I just want to so a lot of people always talk to me every time a new set comes out. All right, updated Milkshake list. Everybody wants the updated Milkshake list. And after Knights of the Frozen Throne, Milkshake was struggling. I could not get a list to really work. So I had to go back in and retool things and try some other stuff, which is weird because Priest is so damn good right now. You'd think you could just kind of chuck in the really strong Priest cards and then throw in some Milkshake cards and it would still kind of work, but it didn't really work. So what I did was I had to kind of compromise a little bit and take some Milkshake out, but put some super Milkshake back in the form of Archbishop Benedictus, right? So I feel like you could take some Milkshake out if you put in Benedictus, because it's literally like steal your whole deck, right? So here's the new idea. And the funny thing about this deck is it was just kind of a weird, crazy idea, and it's wild, by the way. You have to play in wild for this to work, because that's just where Milkshake belongs. But it was just kind of a stupid idea I had when I was streaming, and then the deck has a 75% win rate. So go figure. But basically, I'll put the list in the show notes. The idea is you kind of milkshake them for a little while, then at some point you Hemet Jungle Hunter all the crappy cards out of your deck, which forces you to then end up drawing Reno Jackson, Raza, Kazakis, Shadow Reaper Anduin, and then Archbishop Benedictus. You just play that once you've got your Raza and your Anduin played, and then you just fill your deck back up with all their cards, and then you use those cards to machine gun them down. So, like, you just use their own cards to DK the opponent down. So it's actually a really interesting and weird way to play Hearthstone, and I'm having a blast with it. So if anybody else wants to give it a shot, that code is in the chat as well, and it's in the show notes. So hope people have fun with this list. I've been having a great time.
So for our newer listeners out there, now might be a good time for a brief history on the Milkshake deck. Dills,
it brings all the boys to the yard.
Besides bringing all the boys to the yard, it brings all.
It is so the Milkshake name does not come from the song "My Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the Yard."
Yes, it does.
It comes
just
from.
Doesn't want to admit it.
It comes from the movie There Will Be Blood, because there is a scene where Daniel Day-Lewis drinks the milkshake. He's talking to this guy, and he's like, "I'll drink your milkshake. I'll drink it up." Basically, the idea is I'm going to use your cards to kill you. So and Priest always kind of came with that package, right? That's been a theme of Priest since the beginning of Hearthstone. Was like Mind Vision is in the classic set, right? Mm-hmm. So I just looked at those cards. I said, that seems fun. I'll steal all your cards, and then I'll try to beat you with them. And it's kind of evolved over time into this Reno Wild thing. And now you can Milkshake Rogue, too, if you really want to. But Milkshake Priest is still that's the real Milkshake deck. Although I do have a Wild and Burgley deck that's pretty damn fun, too.
Well, yeah, you get to burgle.
Yeah, well, yeah, you burgle, and then if you get bad cards, you Lillian Voss, and I have a golden Lillian Voss, so it's it just kind of had to happen. But this actually works. That Lillian Voss deck is 50-50 at best. This deck actually has a decent win rate.
We need to get together and try and figure out Lillian Voss again, because I too have a golden Lillian Voss.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
You can't disenchant golden Lillian Voss, right? Like there's something inside you that says no. This card is too fun and too weird. How can I possibly disenchant it?
Yeah.
Well, and it makes other stuff, right? So then it makes other golden cards.
Everything becomes golden.
You can't get rid of things that make other cards or tokens.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
That's exactly. Yeah, it sounds silly, but you're 100% right. It's just that's my. I disenchant golden cards like crazy. But if it's a golden card that creates other golden cards, or turns my current cards into golden cards, I've somehow naturally found double golden evolves. Which
nice.
Wow.
That's my pride and joy for golden cards in Hearthstone. You can't get rid of that stuff. You can't get rid of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I really want Golden Benedictus, because when you just copy their whole deck and then it all comes out golden.
Oh, man,
so nice. But it's so expensive, 3,200 dust. We'll get there one day.
That's the Hearthstone equivalent of spinners or floaters on your car, but 28-inch spinners or floaters on your car. It's the most unnecessary, does not help you in any way, shape, or form. It does not actually improve your vehicle, but you're just showing off. Yeah, you're just showing off.
So shiny.
But that's awesome. Well, before we move into this week's Hearthstone news, we have a sponsor to thank this week. Harry's.com is back to sponsor this episode of The Angry Chicken. They are, of course, the razor blade company that where you can go and get affordable, high-quality razors delivered straight to your door. And Harry's, they're so confident in their blades that they want you to try their popular trial set absolutely for free. So you can go to harrys.com/TAC right now, sign up. The only thing you have to pay is shipping, and you will get yourself a razor handle, a 5-blade cartridge, shaving gel, and a travel cover, and all the while supporting this here podcast, The Angry Chicken. So we thank all of you for doing that. Also for shaving those neck beards. That's always nice too. And for supporting this show. And we thank harrys.com for supporting this show. So go check it out.
I actually, I gave one of the, because I gave one to my stepdad, and I had one more of like the starter packs left over. And my buddy who always has a beard, I was like, hey man, I know you always have a beard, but you know, like I always have one too. I just shave my neck and my shoulders with these. And so I was like, do you want this? He's like, yeah, sure. The next time I see him, clean shaven. Just clean shaven. I was like, what happened? He's like, man, I love that razor, dude. He's like, I just never owned good razors because I never shaved. And then I guess he shaved his neck and he really liked it. And then he just shaved everything. So.
He just kept going, just couldn't stop.
Yeah, he was like, I can't stop.
This feels too good. Oh God, it's all gone. Oh well, more shaving.
His girlfriend didn't seem thrilled with his new look because I think she liked the beard, but he seemed happy. So good job, Harry.
It can be jarring, the going from like
I
the
think
full
that's really
beard
what
to
it was.
not.
He suddenly looked different, right? Yeah.
My dad did that to my mom on their wedding day. He always had a full beard, and then he showed up clean shaven because he wanted to look nice in the pictures, and she was like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, who am I marrying?
Yeah, who is? Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you would like to terrify your bride-to-be on your wedding day, go to harrys.com/TAC. Shave off that beard.
What an endorsement.
Oh, that's amazing. I'd never heard that story before. Thank you for sharing, Jocelyn.
Anytime.
And next time you see your dad, tell him he's awesome. All right. Well, there are quite a few things happening in Hearthstone this week. Some big announcements. So let's get into it. This week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Hey, guys, you know what's cooler than classic packs?
Shiny classic packs?
Mm-hmm.
Shiny classic packs would be, but what's even cooler than that? Golden classic packs.
Ooh.
Which are also
Same
shiny,
thing.
but golden. We're getting golden classic packs. I didn't see this coming.
No.
So what's happening is starting on November 8th, and it's going to be running through January 9th. If you are a Twitch Prime member, you're going to unlock one golden classic card pack, which will be accessible through your Prime Loot panel over on twitch.tv. And what this means, if you have missed this news somehow, is that every single card in that pack that you open will be golden. And this also applies to the legendary duplicate protection rule. So if you're Jocelyn, the multiple legendaries that you open this pack will not be legendaries you already have.
Good. I'm not sure actually if I'm missing any classic legendaries. I might not have King Fresh.
I think I might be
actually.
missing one, but yeah.
Well, then I can't help you, Jocelyn. You 1%er you.
Well, maybe I could just like disenchant my Tyrion or something, and then
And then
hope
hope
that
it
I
pray.
get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a big bet. That is a big bet. Oh
You
my
know,
god.
This is a cool idea, but I gotta poke some holes in it, man. I gotta I have to be a little critical as well. I would like it if first of all, I think it opens up the golden pack as a thing that could exist and be rewarded in other ways, right? That is very cool. So I'm on board completely with the idea of a golden pack. But there are going to be so many people who are going to open this pack up and be so disappointed when it's one rare and 4 golden commons. And so I kind of wish that they would make this have Ungoro pack rules a little bit, where it's much higher chance, like whatever the chances that Ungoro pack gives you to get golden legendaries and all that stuff. I think they should just do that because it's like a one-time only thing. So, you know, you should get like a higher chance to get something really cool, right? Because when you open it up and it's four commons and a rare, you're gonna be salty. People are gonna be salty, right? So, I think that would be cool. There was an idea that somebody posted that would be like, if this would be a really cool thing to award for 12 wins in arena. Is a golden pack, and I agree with those people too. I would like to see them apply the golden pack to more things than just this one-time one pack for having Twitch Prime, right?
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
As
And
someone
I
who
know
never gets 12 wins in Arena, I don't really care what they do with 12 wins.
No, and I know they're giving me essentially a free thing, and I'm crapping on it. I know that.
Well, you're
but
not really
I'm
crapping on it.
No, I'm not crapping. I'm just pointing out these are the, every time you get a free thing, you should just kind of be happy about it. But our job is to be a little critical of their marketing plan.
Well,
but it's fine. It's great.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not free. You have to have Amazon Prime. Yes, you can sign up for a trial if you haven't already done it. And I'm sure there are relatively easy ways to sign up for a trial, even if you have already done Amazon Prime. So it's
yeah,
not...
that's true, because I guess you can probably sign up for Amazon Prime indefinitely with just free Gmail accounts, right?
Most likely. There's got to be... Amazon has to have a lockdown on that somewhere, right? At some point, they're just like, nope,
I think you can't... I don't think you can attach a second trial to a same Twitch account, right? So...
Oh, okay.
Once you've already done a trial,
Once
it
you've done your
won't
trial,
let you then attach a new trial on a new account, right? So
yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, it's not the most locked down thing in the world, but Twitch Prime isn't cheap if you've already, if you've already kind of crossed that bridge once before.
I will say this though, just Amazon Prime is just a great deal if you just order a few things a year from Amazon and you watch movies sometimes and you. Sub to people on Twitch, I'm all for Amazon Prime,
Mr. Dills.
As just a service.
Amazon isn't sponsoring us, so take back everything you said until they give us money.
Okay, sorry. Amazon Prime totally sucks. Give us money, and then I'll change my game.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. By the way, I've had Amazon Prime nonstop for at least 6 years now. But
and it's one of those things that keep
and we
giving
didn't
me
even
more
used to
stuff.
get the video stuff.
They keep giving me more stuff for it, and I don't pay more money for it, right? Like they just keep adding more things to it. So
the price did go up rather dramatically a few years back, but
true.
Yeah, now like you mentioned, Joss, we have the streaming now as well. So yeah, they don't sponsor us, but I'm a fan. Yeah, 100% a fan of Amazon Prime, but it's still pricey. Like I get it if you don't shop on Amazon a lot, you just probably don't have it because it's over $100 a year now, isn't it? I don't know. It just keeps auto drafting.
It automatically comes off of it automatically comes off of my credit card once a year, and I go, "What the heck is it?" Oh, Amazon, right? Okay, well that's already happened.
Yeah, I do too.
And then the rest of the year you get free shipping. So
exactly.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. But whatever. I think this is cool, and it deals also everything you just said makes a whole lot of sense. I just have this gut feeling that I'm just going to get 4 comments on a rare and be like, okay, that's cool. Moving on. But
it has the potential to be super cool, but
right, and they'll probably give this out more often, right? Like there's been multiple times now where we've gotten Overwatch loot crates via Twitch Prime and other promotions as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps coming. Like if it's one time and they never do it again, and I get 4 comments in a rare, then it's kind of it's not that exciting. But the fact that this puts golden packs out into the universe as something that they can use as an incentive for other promotions down the road, that's what I think is very cool about this.
And I'm gonna this is something that me and Gary were talking about a little bit before the show, but I've been playing a lot of Eternal lately, and Eternal is it's another card game. It's kind of like, and I described it as it's like the crossroads of Magic and Hearthstone, right? It gives you a little bit of both, and maybe not the best of both worlds, but some sort of a combination of the two. And the other thing that it also gives you is tons and tons of free stuff. Excuse me. I just went to puberty. Tons and tons of free stuff for just playing the game, right? And Hearthstone, I think, has definitely improved in that aspect, right? They have definitely started to add more and more things, and of course, then you don't get duplicate legendaries and all that kind of stuff. They've come a long way, but when you play some other games, you realize how much further they could potentially go. They don't technically have to. But I would like to see them continue to push that.
Other games are going so far because they have to try to pull people away from the existing juggernaut that is Hearthstone. So they're like, okay, here's Hearthstone's bar for free things. We need to go up here so that people can, get into our game quickly.
That's very true. That they are trying to enter a market already dominated by Hearthstone, right? So they are kind of forced to change the model a little bit to try to attract people, and that's that is a super valid point. But also,
I don't see it as a negative though. I just see it as a good thing.
No.
Competition is good, and frankly,
it's good.
I think Hearthstone really needs the competition.
yeah,
I'm
but
hoping
what I'm saying is
pushes Hearthstone.
that what Hearthstone does right now is not as close to what I think is the right amount of giving you free stuff to then get you to buy stuff. Because there's a whole article recently, and this is a whole new can of worms we can go into or not, but about how much more, and this is a topic that's been going forever, how much more expensive Hearthstone is now than it was in beta or whatever. And I'm of the mind that Hearthstone is not too expensive. I don't think it's too expensive, but when you're trying to convert free to play players into paying players, a couple of okay, imagine the golden pack is offered for more things, and imagine then you open Golden Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Oh, don't you think you might then spend a little money to try to make a viable Warlock deck if you're a free-to-play player? And it's like those types of things I think are good for both sides, the consumer and the game devs, because you get people to they're close and they just need a little more, and then they might just go, oh, let's buy 20 packs and see what we can do. So I hope that they just kind of consider that and continue rewarding things like this through other means, right?
Yeah, well, and I think they started to do that in Frozen Throne. We did get the one free Death Knight. Granted, it was random, and the quality to the Death Knights vary greatly. I got Garrosh, and he's terrible.
Sure. He's all right.
He's
but he's
okay,
not in
yeah.
top tier deck.
He's pretty poopy.
His weapon is great. His hero
He's
power.
good
is kind
in
of
those
it.
decks. He's a good card in those decks, but those decks are really hard to play.
Yeah,
he's still not that good.
He's a good card in a bad deck. Yeah, wonderful.
Yep, there you go.
Wonderful,
That's
and a really
right.
bad card in every other deck. So, but yeah, I think they're going down that. I think they're going down that track a little bit. But yeah, I've seen that narrative popping up a lot. I don't know if it's because we're going towards BlizzCon, where we're about to have the third expansion announcement. I don't know. I've been thinking on it, and I think I'm leaning towards now the camp of it's a little more expensive than it should be, and I don't know. I'm of two minds. I think they either need to do more for limited Hearthstone to make it more appealing, so that it playing constructed Hearthstone doesn't feel as required, I think, as it currently does.
Yeah.
Or they need to go down the route that you just talked about, Dills, where they just need to give more things away for free or have more incentives to fill out your collection to kind of tip you over that edge to be like, okay, fine, I'll plug $50 in and get another stack of cards.
More like gameplay options to earn things, I think, is the issue too. Because sometimes you log on and once you finish your 3 quests or whatever, the feeling is, well, grinding 10 gold for every 3 wins isn't really worth my time anymore, and then you just log out, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, but in Eternal, what I've found is that even when I've got my quest done or whatever, and there's nothing really else to do, they have these other modes, literally a free mode that you can go in and play, and at the end of it, you can earn a pack by just doing it, and you spend a little time, but there's a potential good reward at the end. So it feels like something I should spend my time doing, and Hearthstone doesn't really have that thing. So unless you really are enjoying the game, which for me, I play quest or no, right? I'll be streaming and I'll just play for an hour, not doing any quests, and then I'll switch deck and I'll be playing again. I'm just playing for the play. But I don't think everybody, loves the game the same way I do and wants to do that. So trying to incentivize people, I think, is always a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. But trucking along, another announcement was about Fireside Gatherings. They're promoting Hallows End Fireside Gatherings, so Halloween-themed Fireside Gatherings. Any Fireside, it's more or less up to the innkeepers what it's going to be, if it's an actual costume party or anything. So it's really just the name that Blizzard's promoting here. But what's more interesting about this is the promotion that's happening starting on October 17th. They put an asterisk in case, I don't know, there might be an issue getting this uploaded to the game. But we're getting a new hero portrait coming to Hearthstone, and the way to unlock it will be attending one of these Hallows End Fireside Gatherings starting after October 17th. And you're going to unlock Nemi Necrofizzle, a gnome warlock for, your warlock class. And she's apparently going to continue to be available to unlock through Firesides, even after the quote-unquote Hallows End promotion comes to a close. So I think this is great. This is in line with, I think, some of the things we've been suggesting that they do to entice players to want to go to a Fireside, because it's just been the card back now for many years.
For a really long time, yeah.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Reddit immediately goes, how about another way to do this? And it's just like, guys, not every promotion has to be available for 100% of the population, like through whatever way you want to do it. I think this is requiring you to get out of your house and go to some place where people are playing Hearthstone together.
That's the thing, Dylan.
A really good
I
thing.
have to see people.
Yeah.
Oh.
And look, here's the thing. And there are some people with legitimate concerns where they're saying, like, I don't live somewhere where there are fireside gatherings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a side benefit here to this being available only through that way, is that it might incentivize more fireside gatherings to exist in places that they currently don't, right?
Yeah.
So you can make a fireside gathering happen if there isn't one near you, and you can just go, start your own, and 3 people can show up, and it still counts as a fireside gathering. Like, you don't have to throw a giant thing,
3 or 4 people? It's very small anyway, the requirement to make it actually a fireside. You just have to be in a public place.
I believe it says
accessible,
3 unique users.
You need to play 3 against 3 other people or something. Yeah, 3 unique people.
And if it's 3 unique users, the innkeeper counts. So you can put on your own fireside at Starbucks and just have 2 people show up and you're golden.
Right.
Technically.
Yeah.
You still need to get in touch with Blizzard so that you're
make it
actually
official,
unlocking
right?
this. Right. To make it official so that you actually get this unlocked. It's not like you can just get 2 people on your home network all log in together and this happens. You need to be an official fireside, but it's not that hard to get in touch with Blizzard and do that. You just go
it's
to
just
the
like
literally a form to fill out.
firesidegatherings.com or something, right?
You don't even have to talk to anybody. You just fill out a form, and if everything checks out, then
they don't make you leave your house to start a fireside. You just have to leave your house to put one on or go to one.
Yep. So it's one of those things where I hear people sometimes complain. I'm like, man, you gotta make your own, you gotta make your own fun sometimes in life. And if that's just like a concept you can't wrap your head around, then I'm sorry, you're never gonna have a Necrofizzle whizzle or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, Necrofizzle. And is that the worst thing that's ever happened to you? No, it's probably going to be fine.
Well, that's the other thing too, right? At the end of the day, it's a portrait. It's just cosmetic. It doesn't affect your gameplay in any way, shape, or form, unless you are one of the people that your happiness is increased exponentially when you see a gnome. That's
true.
Okay, so I asked Twitter, because this is the second hero now that we've got. The Murloc was the first one that are like Hearthstone creations as opposed to Warcraft creations. And if they thought, that would made them more or less excited. And because I guess probably like 2 months ago, we were talking about maybe it wasn't even that long ago, when we were talking about who the alternate heroes for Gul'dan could be. And we had so many good ideas. So I kind of saw this and I was like, oh.
Yeah, who?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, no, this is just
Where's
new.
Wilfred Fizzlebang, right?
Yeah.
There's so many, But, I think they're trying to distance
but
themselves a little bit from Warcraft and try to make their own way.
I think they do both. Because they can kind of they have the freedom to do whatever the heck it is that they want to do at the end of the day. And we have a Medivh hero, but Medivh is also a card. And I actually kind of like this because it's a throwback to the Fen Creeper art, which is
this is actually a gnome that doesn't this exist in World of Warcraft but never had a name? Like, wasn't there always a gnome on top of the Fen Creeper? We just wasn't an NPC, or am I tripping?
There was always a gnome on top of the Hearthstone art, but I don't think there was one actually.
But we just finally named it, basically.
Yeah, basically.
We named that gnome.
Yeah, and
I think for me, I would like Hearthstone to make up its own characters for classes that already have iconic alternate heroes. Like, if you made up your own hunter, that's great. We already have Rexxar, we have Illyria, we have 2 options. Give me a third random Hearthstone one. But where the only warlock one that we have is Gul'dan, give me another in-game option before creating your own. Just so I have, I don't know, an alternate but still lore-oriented character, because it's cool, don't get me wrong. I'm also not a big gnome fan, so this could be part of it too. But I feel like I want something a little more iconic, and it's probably just because I'm so steeped in Warcraft, but I don't know.
Yeah, this matters to you a lot more than it matters to most people.
It definitely does.
So.
Yeah.
A lot of it. It's subjective. If you like gnomes, if you like gnome warlocks, if you like fishing, if you like Fen Creepers, bam, they got it. They've got your number. This is the best hero to ever be added to the game. If you're kind of lukewarm on everything I just rattled off, then it's not going to be your jam. But I don't know. I don't like gnomes. I'm lukewarm on fen creepers, and I think this is kind of cool just because I like that it's this wink and a nod to internal artwork, which is hitting me in a little niche of fandom, which I think is fine. At the end of the day, I would just like to see more heroes. I still don't understand
I agree.
why
I don't know
it's
why
so slow with them coming out. It's one piece of art. Send it over to the Golden Animations team.
One piece
You're
of
done.
art and a bunch of emotes though too.
Yeah,
Because they have to record like attack emotes and. It's
poor.
not a huge amount, but it is. There's somebody
It's a job.
spend some time doing it. Yeah.
Oh man, that just
But
does
still,
not
like-
seem.
But it's again, it's not a huge amount of assets, but I do understand that like they want to make sure that they're good and there's like a solid promotion that goes behind it. So there's more that just goes into it than just like, okay, design them, put them out. Every time they design them, now they have to come up with how they get it out and all that kind of stuff. It's fine to get cosmetics. I'm like, I don't need them to be coming out all the freaking time. As long as the cards are coming out all the freaking time, I'm good. But I can see what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of people that love all the little fun extra stuff, and if they service those people, then they continue getting those people to play the game. So in the end, like, I'm with you. More stuff is always good, but I get it, I guess. Like, it's like when people were complaining about the DK turning you into not Morgul the DK, and I was like, so you need them to make like 15 different versions of every card or whatever. It's like,
I didn't need that, but I needed Arthas if I was a paladin. That's what I needed.
yeah, sure.
But I know it's fine. It's all fine. It's one of those things that's hard to not compare it to the other Blizzard games where there's a lot of extra stuff coming out for every single Blizzard game except Hearthstone.
More is better.
Yeah. It's just weird. It just seems inconsistent with the company as a whole. But whatever the case is, hey, speaking of Fireside Gathering, so if you are not Jocelyn and you're excited about Nemi Necrofizzle and you want to get your hands on one, and you're going to BlizzCon, there's going to be an official Fireside Gathering the night before BlizzCon taking place at Con Before the Storm, where we are also having the A-Move and Frog Pants meetup party. It'll be at the Hilton this year instead of the bowling alley as part of Con Before the Storm. Many podcasters that myself included, are going to be doing panels at Con Before the Storm, and there's an official Fireside Gathering taking place there as well. It's going to be kicking off at 4 p.m. local time and running until 2 in the morning, so you have plenty of time to get in there and unlock yourself a Nemi Necrofizzle and also do it at a Fireside Gathering at BlizzCon. What could be cooler than that? So
that's pretty much my plan. And I think you're going to be able to get it if you can't, for some reason, make it there to Calm Before the Storm. I think you're going to be able to unlock it at the Hearthstone Tavern as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is like upstairs with the Darkmoon Fair and stuff. So at the actual convention. So that'll be open as long as the doors of BlizzCon are open.
Yeah. And if you're one of my Florida brethren and you can't wait until BlizzCon, there's actually a Florida Fireside happening at our original venue on October 21st. You can find details over at meetup.com/Florida Fireside. Go check that out. Now, last week, we talked about the fact that a bunch of social features were data mined from the game, and minutes before we went live, the BlizzCon schedule went up, and there was a long panel dedicated to social features, and we're like, oh my god, they're going to come out on stage and announce groups, and they're going to flip the switch, and it's going to go live at BlizzCon, and they're going to have a big old fat powwow panel about the features. And nope, it's already live in a beta version of the client that you can go and install right now. And it works. It just works really well. My friends that aren't using the beta still show up on my friends list. Nothing seems broken. I've had 0 issues with this beta version. And you can go and join groups, including, I would recommend one called amove.tv. That's over on the Battle.net client social features right now. Man, this is a weird year for BlizzCon, man. I feel like everything's getting announced ahead of time, with the exception of the Warcraft expansion and the Hearthstone expansion. This is great, though. I really enjoy this. Have you guys tried out the group feature?
No, I'm just looking now to see if I'm opted in.
Yeah, how do you actually join groups?
Um,
Because I've not messed with it at all.
Are you on? So you haven't installed the beta version of the client?
I'm on the beta version. I've been on the beta version ever since they started doing the voice, right?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I've had voice for a long time. So if that's
Yeah.
the beta version, then I have the beta version.
Not necessarily.
Well,
No, because voice is live
that
now.
moved to the regular version at a certain point, but I never stopped using the beta version. Right?
Do you
So-
like? Are you looking at it right now? Do you have a little blue bar in the left corner that says beta?
Yeah, it says beta at the top left corner.
No.
Okay. Oh well, then Joss, you're
So
not
if
on
you
the
don't
beta.
have that, I do
I
know that
failed.
you go to settings and you switch it, and there's
There
the
we
in
go.
development thing. You say, I want the beta.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mine says switch the standard version, but
Yeah, exactly. So Dills, you should have a social tab. Do you have a social tab? I feel like I'm doing IT for my mom.
I actually don't. So maybe I need to switch to the regular version and back to the beta.
Yeah,
or
you must
something.
be using a really old version of the beta.
Yeah,
It had
Okay,
to do
interesting.
it had to do a short download, but once you do that, you should have a social tab.
Okay.
And then if you want to join our group, just go to Amove. I have a post up with the link. You have to copy the
Sweet.
link and paste it into the like when you hit, there'll be a plus icon, you hit it, there's a join group feature, and then it says enter a group's invitation link or code. The codes are kind of weird because they're like an http:// link, so you would think you could just click on it and it would automatically open up the client, and it doesn't. You just have to copy that and then paste it into the join group link field within the client. So that's about the only thing that's wonky about it. But beyond that, really liking the group feature. We've just briefly, real quick, like fired up a Hearthstone channel, a Heroes of the Storm channel. We have a general channel and a looking for group channel, and there's already almost 200 damn people in there, all palling around, sharing 80 gold quests, and having a good time.
So it is basically Discord, but
It's
Blizzard.
it's 100% Discord, but Blizzard, which is fine. Because that's where everyone that I play PC games with already hang out.
yeah.
Unless you're, these PUBG people.
PUBG. Love that game.
Yeah, but it's working really well, and it's fine. Like, my only concern is beyond 2 expansions, what are they going to announce at BlizzCon? But that's a perfectly fine concern. If they're just releasing things when they're ready, even when it's this close to BlizzCon, I think that's kind of rad. So I think it would have been easy
Yeah,
to just hold it.
we've been talking for a while about them we don't want them to wait to release features if they're ready. I feel like BlizzCon might be the exception. Like a couple weeks before BlizzCon feels like, I could have waited for that extra little in-person hype. But I don't know. I think overall I'm glad they're just giving us stuff when it's ready.
Yeah. I agree. I like it. Although, yeah, it's this close. I'm like, another few weeks wouldn't have killed it, I guess. But yeah, it's still great. So, in fun news this week, did either of you see Ben Brode's tweet where he tweeted out a talk that he gave internally at Blizzard back in 2015? It is now on YouTube, and it's him basically giving a lecture about how he took an improv class and how he applied what he learned there to game design.
Yeah, I loved his points when he was like, I thought it was my job to shoot down everything, and the idea of mean Brode just does not compute.
Sure. Yeah, it doesn't make a
Can't
lot of
picture
sense.
Ben ever saying no to anyone ever.
I've heard he
the
has.
funny thing though is that he everything he said, I have taken some improv classes, and I'm kind of like a comedy nerd. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. Everything he said is stuff that they all talk about. That's all very real stuff, and to hear him apply that world to something like game development was really interesting. And I do think there's a lot of what goes on in improv that applies to kind of any job or social, an environment where you are trying to complete a task with other people. Because what the whole thing about improv is, we have to kind of work together or else it all falls apart. And if one person decides not to play along, the whole thing can fall apart. So the whole yes and that he talked about is just a beautiful example of someone comes to you with something, you never just say, hey, that's really crappy. That's a terrible idea and I won't have any part of it. But if someone comes to you with something and maybe the idea is not that great, it's a really cool response to be like, that's kind of a cool thing, but what if we did this too? Or I like that and we can also do this. In a lot of ways, it's that's just a healthier environment in general for anything in life. So it was kind of cool to hear him apply it specifically to like my favorite game. So
yeah,
I loved it.
It's an absolute. I was captivated by this damn thing. It's an absolutely fascinating talk. So I would recommend anyone that hasn't watched it, if you're interested in game design and improv, if you fall in that very specific Venn diagram, go and give this a watch.
I think after the show and the post show, we should try. I have an improv game. I think we should try. It's pretty fun.
Are you serious?
And it's not like something we don't have to sit here and make up characters and stuff. Yeah. It'll be fun.
All right, fine. Sure. Why not? Sounds like a good time, man.
This terrifies me.
I can tell Jocelyn's
just
terrified, but
FYI,
trust
I'm
me,
like,
you'll
nope.
Yeah, you'll like this one.
I'm not here anymore. I'm gone.
Introvert mode activating.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. That's good. Well, all right. Well, let's move along. Let's talk about a new deck this week. We're going to talk about Control Warlock.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
All right. So we were chatting in our super secret Slack channel today with each other, trying to figure out what the heck deck you wanted to cover. And Dills, you suggested Control Warlock, and I. After Frozen Throne released, I've been doing that this week a lot, calling it Lich King instead of Frozen Throne. I was interchangeably using the term handlock and control lock because there was a lot of experimentation going on. But this is very specific. It's not running giants. It's not running Twilight Drakes.
So the
crazy
crazy thing,
mind.
the crazy thing about Warlock right now is that you can play it in so many different ways, right? There's literally a Zoolock that's back, which
when you said Control Warlock, I thought you were talking about like the Kazakus, like one-ofs Control Warlock.
That's another version of
That's
Control
a
Warlock.
Highlander Warlock. I've seen a few of those running
they're
around
calling
this
that Highlander Warlock or whatever. But the thing is, like, this version is very consistently built to kill aggro and tempo decks, right? This is just remove, and run them out of stuff. And then at some point you play Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and then you just can't lose from there. So this is a very specific version that I'm presenting right now that isn't going to necessarily be your best version, maybe for ladder, but it's going to be really good for specific moments in ladder where you realize, because right now I feel like what's happening on the ladder is kind of cool. It's actually cycling, whereas before you would just see, okay, there's one really powerful deck. Sometimes we all counter that deck, and sometimes that deck kind of goes away for a second, and then sometimes that deck comes back because we stopped countering it because it went away. That's the cycle, right? Now there's not really one ultra powerful deck. There's 3 or 4 very, very strong decks, and so what's happening is you're seeing this. It's cycling between archetypes. Like what archetype is popular right now? So Priest becomes really popular. Suddenly people start to go, okay, well, I know that if I pressure the Priest with all these tempo decks that are running Bone Mares and Prince Keleseths and Cobalt Scalebanes and stuff, then I'll have a better chance against those. And then when those decks become popular, then a deck like this Warlock deck suddenly becomes really, really good because it just kills all your stuff. All that stuff you play, this deck just has so many friggin' tools to take care of all of that stuff. So, and then it also never runs out of health because it's running double Drain Soul, Earthen Ring Farseer, and Siphoned Souls. And then, of course, you also then play. This is why I really like this version. It's got a bunch of new cards in it. The Happy Ghoul. So against like an aggro deck, sometimes you just keep the Mistress of Mixtures at the beginning. You play it, and then they kill it, you get a good trade, and then you dump 2 Happy Ghouls on the board, and then they never catch back up in tempo, right? So there's just so many kind of tools to just throw, like just aggro's, no. Aggro, you will not win. You will not beat me with aggro. And against a lot of mid-range, unless they have a perfect draw and I miss a couple things, say I can't like kill their Hydra on turn 5, that's really the only way that I'll end up losing with this deck. But it's just a really fun way to kind of target a specific archetype that could be kicking your butt at the moment. And then also I really like it because I'm looking for DHL Season 5 decks. And this season we're doing a 5-deck format. So I need to be able to essentially have decks that I can kind of target specific archetypes with. Not not say like one deck, but one entire archetype, right? So if there's, let's say I know he's about to bring Hunter or Rogue or Paladin on the next game, I can play this and go, I counter all three of those decks with this one. So it's just looking for decks to kind of do different things in Hearthstone is really important, and this deck does one thing incredibly well, which is just kills aggro. You will not lose to aggro with this deck.
So I once we knew this was going to be the deck we were going to mess with, I went out and played a few games with it, and I think it may be responsible for just one of the most bonkers games I've had all year, which is a mirror match. This deck's mirror match is silly because it's just answers. It's just nothing but answers, and
it's like whoever plays their stuff first loses.
Yeah,
well,
that is a weird thing sometimes, but there's a lot of matchups that have been like that for a while. Like think of old school Control Warrior matchups.
I was
going to
say,
players
the
have
Control
never
Warrior
played a
mirror.
minion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how this kind of felt. Except this one, it was like, well, if it's a demon, I'm just going to play it because eventually I'm going to Blood Reaver Gul'dan, so who gives a crap? And that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what my opponent did. And it felt like, and this is a one-game sample size, that whoever Twisting Nethered first just lost. And my opponent Twisting Nethered first, and I just waited until he Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and then I Twisting Nethered, and then I literally just 3 damage lifestealed his face until he died of fatigue before I did.
There you go. Yeah, I mean those kind of matchups are really, really interesting because it does come down to a game of chicken almost. It's like just being patient with the other person. I do want to point out the other deck that we linked in the show notes is a Control Warlock that Asmodai used on the ladder, and he used it on the Legend ladder. And this is I kind of put this one up here because I want to point out this is a very different version. This is a version that's a little bit more aimed at potentially beating control decks and not just aggro. It's really good against aggro too, but it's going to be this. It might be a little bit better for just ladder because it has it can decently beat control, especially things like Priest because it's running Twilight Drakes and then Medivh plus Twisting Nethers and things like that to just play giant threats. So don't feel like there's only like this. The beauty of Warlock right now is there's a million ways to play it. It's all control Warlock, but they just have. They have the most removal tools I've ever seen any class have, all packed into one. So, the core is just all the things that kill things. I have all those. Now, what's my minion base besides that, right? So, you can
all you
pick and choose
people
your
who were
favorite one.
worried about Warlock, you can stop being worried now. They were gone for 2 months. Now they're back. Yay!
It's kind of nuts how many ways they can kill your stuff. I will say this though, it still has some terrible matchups. Just in general, like Jade Druid is just still really, really hard for Warlock to beat. I was playing a Jade Druid with the Asmodai version, and it was just insane because I had tapped a bunch of times, and then I go look at how many cards I have left, how many cards he has left. And the Druid had not only ramped up his Jades a whole bunch, but it also drawn like 5 more cards than me as a Warlock. And it was just like, okay, Druid's still fine. Just one ultimate infestation, and I think they're okay.
Yeah, the mirror matchup I had played against this deck, the one big glaring difference I noticed in their cards is that towards the end when they were on fatigue, they dropped a Skulking Geist against me. And I was like, oh, they must be teching against Druid.
Yeah, but I feel like that matchup is just bad regardless of the Geist, so I just forego it and say I'm just going to have one bad matchup rather than like make my deck weak against other stuff, right? But you can kind of go whichever way you want. I do agree. Somebody in chat just said I prefer Giants over Doom Guards. Yeah, I'm with you because Doom Guards feel really, really risky when you have Blood Reaver Gul'dan in your hand. And when you discard that Blood Reaver Gul'dan, suddenly you just feel like, well, I just lost. So
yeah,
I don't like just losing because I played a card.
That's my I think I talked about that when we talked about the Zoo deck.
Yeah, last week. And I didn't agree with you last week.
Discarding.
I didn't agree with you last week because it's Zoo, and it's fine. I typically win before I get the 10, but I definitely agree with you this week. There are just too many high-value cards in this archetype that Doomguard gives me gas.
Wait, gives you gas?
Yeah, you ever get upset and your stomach starts to hurt?
Well, Doomguard technically removes gas because it takes cards out of your hand.
Yeah.
That's not what I was talking about, but thanks, Dills.
Hang on.
The thing, though, is like a Doomguard in a Zoo deck makes a lot more sense because you can empty your hand, right? this style of warlock is not going to have an empty hand, so you are always going to pay the full price of discarding 2 cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my issue with it, right?
He does have the synergy with Gul'dan, that's true. But, I mean, I find the majority of the time when I'm playing a deck like this, I'm probably, maybe not, like, keeping Gul'dan necessarily, depending on the matchup. But I'm absolutely, like, tapping as much as I can to try to find Gul'dan because he's your big finisher, right? So if you're trying to get Blood Reaver into your hand, but then also trying to discard 2 cards at the same time, that's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, this list is actually a little bit old. You could see that it was submitted on the 22nd of August. I think a lot of people have gone away from the Doomguard in this type of list. So feel free to also follow that. And yeah, Mountain Giants are perfect because they play right into your tapping kind of game plan early on. So
yeah,
but yeah, overall, just a really solid archetype right now. And if you're struggling with aggro and tempo decks, then give it a shot. The issue is going to be Priest and Jade Druid. You'll definitely struggle against those decks with this, but no deck is going to be good against everything, except for Jade Druid, a month ago. But no fair deck is supposed to be good against everything, and it's definitely just a nice, solid, and I think a really fun deck to play because it is fun to just kill everything they play. It's very satisfying to be like, oh, that cool, sounds good. It's dead. Then just the next turn, that's dead too. Oh, your stuff is dead. So, and there's a lot of interesting kind of planning too. So sometimes you don't kill it that turn. You willingly absorb the damage because you're going to kill it all the next turn. Things like that.
Yeah, I dig it. I love that we're still in flux. I love that we have these archetypes where the deck list is not set in stone still. That we still get up here, we talk about a new deck, and we talk about the options for what to include, and it's not just Reno decks. So I think game's in a good place, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Somebody actually made a post recently on Reddit saying that there's a lot of classes, but the decks within the classes are not that varied, and I couldn't disagree more. There's so many different choices, and the fact that we have a few really, really good neutral minions is, I think, something that I kind of miss about, think of Beta Hearthstone, where we had too many good ones, but there was, I think, a balance in there that was right, because you remember there was a time when they were calling it like the Power 12 cards or something like that, and it was like, the clerics and the commanders and the Dark Iron Dwarves and the novice engineer, all that kind of stuff. Like, you always had all these, like, you kind of put those cards in and then you built the rest of the deck.
Yeah.
We're kind of in between where it was too much and not enough, where, like, there was a time where no deck really ran anything except a few neutral legendary minions maybe, but everything else was class cards pretty much. And now we've got, Bone Mare and Cobalt Scalebane and Firefly. These are just kind of universally good cards, and you can use them in lots of different styles of decks. I'm glad that we're in this place where you have some choices in the neutral set and not just like, okay, all my class cards and then what, and Sylvanas and Rag or something, right? Which is where we were once at, and now it's much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, let's thank our patrons before we move into crazy game stories. If you enjoy The Angry Chicken, if you like what we're doing here, go over to patreon.com/TAC to support this show. We're getting real close to our next goal of having Raven on as a monthly contributor, and he'll be a paid contributor. We'll be paying him every month to come back. So if that sounds awesome to you, or if you just want to support the show, check out the Patreon. This episode, we wanted to thank Ben S. Somebody's named Brady's Revenge. That sounds like a ship. Are you a pirate, sir or madam? Daryl D.L. also supporting this show, London R. and Nicholas W. Thank you all so much for being patrons of this here podcast and supporting what we do for a living. It means a lot to us. Now, let's crack open tacpodcast@gmail.com's inbox and take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
Shermbo writes in this week. That is an interesting name. Dear Perturbed Poultry, I had a daily quest to play 75 Murlocs, so I queued up with my Shaman Unite the Murlocs quest deck.
It's untie the Murlocs? Duh. I always read it wrong and think it's untie the Murlocs.
Why are you tying up fish people?
Well, you're untying them and unleashing them on the world.
So are you telling me that every Murloc I've ever played, unless I'm using Untie the Murlocs, is actually tied up and fighting without arms?
Yes, they're tied up in your collection. They're, they're not, available.
All right.
I don't know.
All right.
It kind of unravels from there, but Untie the Murlocs is just hilarious.
Okay, well, Shermbo continues. My opponent was a priest, and I was quickly able to play enough Murlocs to finish the quest and gain my Mega Fin. Meanwhile, my priestly opponent somehow ended up playing a Shadow Reaper Anduin and gained the Void Forum hero power. Then Raza the Chained gave him that hero power for 0 mana. Somewhere along the line, he had played 2 Radiant Elementals that stuck to the board, giving him 0-cost spells. He must have had 1 Shadow Visions in what was left of his deck. I know I should have never let the priest get to this state, but I was focused on building a Murloc board that could win me the game. I had 5 minions on board, 2 Murlocs to each side of a Flame Tongue totem. I had the priest down to 5 health, and I was at a comfy 26. Then, it happened. The priest starts playing an infinite series of 0-mana Shadow Visions and pinging my face with the 0-mana Void Form power. I watched in horror as he does this over and over, my healing decreasing by 2 in an unending barrage. I'm ready to concede when the rope comes to my rescue, but will it be in time? The rope finally burns out when I'm at 8 health. Then the animation continues, 6, 4, 2, and then peace. My turn, I top deck a Bloodlust and bash my now 8 attack Murloc War Leader into his face for the win. That's amazing.
So many animations.
Yeah.
I can only imagine having, so the priest would have had to do it so he was at 26, so 13 times to do the play the Shadow Visions, discover the Shadow Visions, do the hero power, play the Shadow Visions, discover Shadow Visions, do the hero power. I'm surprised he got 13 in. Or I guess 12 because he was too short.
Yeah, that's intense. Did you have nails left on your fingers while watching that rope burn down? I'm curious. That's what I wanted to know. You left out the most important detail. Well, thank you, Shermbo. Thank you for sharing that with us and for learning no lessons at all about overplaying to complete a quest. All right, let's take some emails and wrap this episode up.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com. Rendon writes in and says, insert thrall voice. Greetings, friends. I'm not doing it for the whole damn email, though, by the way. I've been playing video games for about 2 decades now, and because of that, my nerdy friends and I have come up with a specific way of ranking games. I know every nerd has had the heated argument over which game is the best of a given franchise. To make everyone happy, I'm assuming in his circle of friends, the rule is that everyone will have their own favorite game and their own best game. The example of this is that I believe that Ocarina of Time is objectively the best Zelda game, but my favorite Zelda game is Wind Waker. Everyone has their favorite little thing that makes a game special and more fun to them. This concept is something that I thought could apply to the current Hearthstone expansions. So, what is each of your favorite/best expansions or adventures? Keep up the great work. I'm going to pass this to Joss first.
I think probably my favorite expansion was, and I'm kind of surprised because I thought it was really dumb at the time, but now when I look back at it, I'm kind of happy and it was pretty fun. I think it was actually the One Night at Karazhan, just the adventure. And
put your haterade away. You crapped on that adventure so much.
I know, but I just now looking back on it, I'm kind of you know what? I think it was actually pretty fun, and it was very Joss themed, and the whole party. It's and I'm not talking about the cards. I'm just talking about the theme of the expansion was actually pretty fun, and I'm more on board with it now because we did Karazhan was kind of reintroduced as a mythic dungeon in Warcraft, so I actually got to experience Karazhan. It was slightly different, but it was still, I got that experience, which I hadn't had before, so now it has a little bit more weight to me, I guess, and I like Karazhan a lot. So I'm happy. I think that might be my favorite I think that might be my favorite. In terms of the best, I think I'm going to go with Ungoro. I think Ungoro was, best for the game. It was great. It was the second big standard rotation. I think for the game itself and the state of the game, I think Ungoro is probably my pick.
Yeah, for me, I think what I think is objectively the best is Ungoro, and then my personal favorite would be the most recent one because Arthas.
Yeah.
So it's kind of my out right there. But Ungoro I think is the interesting choice there for me at least, because I feel like Frozen Throne is kind of obvious. But I'm with you. I think Ungoro it shook the game up in the best way I think we've seen to date with any one release. Later nerfs or not. Even though I like Quest Rogue and wish it was still a thing.
I don't want it to be a thing the way it was, but I am okay with it being. I don't want it to be absolute terrible, like just a terrible deck for sure. I'm gonna go with Old Gods actually. I think Old Gods was. It was really fun. It was super super fun, and it kind of introduced these like giant bomb card ideas that late game was suddenly really important. Whereas for a long time in Hearthstone, you didn't really get to your big late game bombs very often, and they weren't often that good.
I remember reviewing cards. We used to say like, "Oh no, it costs 8 mana too much." Like, nope, we're never gonna get there.
The game ends at 7 because Dr. Boom.
Yeah.
I actually even remember thinking to myself, that there's just no way that this is going to be a good expansion at the time. Just like, and also I was kind of scared of a world where there was just giant minions always on the board that I could never kill. But that never ended up being the thing. Like, dropping into Zoth after playing a bunch of Death Rattle minions forever was really satisfying. And Yogg being stupid as hell, but also really fun was pretty cool. And Cthulhu showing up and then, being ominous and knowing that it's on the horizon somewhere was also really, it was terrifying. Like, please don't draw it. Please don't draw it. That kind of stuff was really cool. So, and now we even see, like, Yashiraj is still a thing where you can play Big Priest, and it still has, it's going away pretty soon, but it still has like its foothold in the game. Whereas, expansion like TGT just kind of faded out, and this felt like the first one that came along that really impacted the meta long term, and not in a stupid way like Goblins versus Gnomes, where just everything got insane. It felt like this was our first expansion that sent us down this road of fair decks being fair, and late game being a thing that mattered, right? So yeah, I liked it.
I think it's a good call. I read this email earlier and I was kind of torn between Old Gods and Ungoro, and for me it literally came down to Yogg-Saron. I hate that card so much that Ungoro that Ungoro won over Old Gods.
Yeah, I mean Ungoro is definitely, I think the collective Hearthstone crowd all can agree it was like the best time in Hearthstone. But I really do think we're kind of entering another. These nerfs have done wonders for the game state. The problem was that they came, a month into this expansion, so everybody still has a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth, I think. Yeah. And it's hard to objectively look at where we are now and give it the full credit that the game deserves. Because you think about Ungoro, like they didn't really do that great with quests. They did okay, but I think DKs have definitely been much more successful as an interesting new mechanic.
They seem to be much more balanced, and I know, Garrett, you were complaining earlier about Garrosh, but in general, they seem to be in the majority of decks now, just because they're a pretty good card. Like, why wouldn't you just want to do something powerful and get 5 armor? Seems good. Like,
yeah, and that was my intention was not to take anything away from DKs. I think they have been. I would 100% chalk them up to a success. I think Garrosh is the outlier. Because
I think there's some that are definitely slightly more powerful than others, but they still have powerful effects, right? Like,
oh, absolutely. And when you compare them to quests, it seems hard to believe that the same team. The best and worst. Yeah, it's hard to believe like the same team worked on it, but because quests were so volatile, like we got. We only had 3 good ones. Now there was 2 good ones after.
Yeah,
Quest
so
Rogue
there
got
was
nerfed.
I guess Mage, Warrior, and
Rogue at the time. And now
But now Rogue's kind of gone.
and Warrior's kind of gone.
Yeah, there have been a lot of changes to the way the Warrior plays. So yeah, I haven't seen Taunt Warrior nearly as much.
Yeah.
I've seen some people messing around with Hunter and Druid, but they're just
having fun.
normally, they're just having fun, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't going to be fun for you.
Yeah, I love the
I
priest.
miss my sorry emote.
I love the priest quest in Wild. I think I have a lot of fun with Death Rattle Reno quest priest in Wild. It's still one of my favorite things to just go to when I'm kind of done with standard. But yeah, it's game's a good place. Right now.
League of Explorers kind of deserves a mention here too, I think, because that had a lot of really impactful cards as well. If we're talking about best time in the game, I think when that came out, it was it had huge impacts. It made a whole entire new archetype, right? Like Reno wasn't a thing before that. Like one of Highlander decks weren't in the game. So
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, because and you think about that too was
there's Entomb.
That was at the end of a cycle, and it had and so few cards, and it had a massive impact on the meta. I mean, I think it was helped by the fact that we had the standard rotation shortly after, and that survived the culling, if you will. But but still, no, you're absolutely right. Mine might be Ungoro, then League, then Old Gods. Again, I hate Yaxaron. That yeah. That's where I would put it. That's where I would put it. All right, Dills, what's our next email from?
Let's see. We got one from Andrew who says, "Greetings, my flock of flustered flappers. I've been trying for years to get my brother into Hearthstone, and recently he started playing. He loves it, but is often frustrated by his limited card collection that relegates him to rank 16 or 17. We've all heard this story before. He feels like he is making no progress, and this feeling is magnified when he queues in a Tier 1 deck stacked with legendaries he can't afford to craft. Well, he can afford it. He and I are both gainfully employed professionals, but he's hesitant to spend money for packs when his current experience is subpar. I think he would buy packs if he experienced more incremental progress and competitive success. What do you think of this solution? A classic ladder that allows only basic and classic cards. Sure, the meta would be stale, but the limited format would give beginners a better chance at building a Tier 1 classic deck. They'd experience progress on ladder. It would be easier to grind wins for gold. What do you think?" The usual response to these suggestions is that Blizzard won't do it because it would hurt revenue, but I actually think a classic ladder would maximize revenue. New players would enjoy the game a lot more. They'd learn the basics of tempo, card advantage that would translate to standard, and once they build a strong classic deck, it probably wouldn't be that expensive to modify it into a competitive standard deck. I'm not going to crap on this idea because I don't think it's bad, but I also think
Yes, and. Yes, and.
I think that the issue with it is that you're putting out all this new fun content, and then you are creating a place where nobody's playing with that new fun content, right? So even more than that, if they were to separate ladders out, I wouldn't mind seeing something where they can separate them into rather than, I'm ranked 16, so I just play against other people who are ranked 16 who could have all the cards, they just don't play very much. That kind of thing. It's like you're not really separated by the amount of cards you have in your collection. I think we talked previously about this. Turn everybody into free to play and then grind your way up all together at once thing that we talked about a few weeks ago.
The seasons, yeah.
And then like all of the content matters. It's just you're playing against other people who have about as much stuff as you have. So I think that would be a better way to go about a similar approach. I just think what Blizzard probably doesn't want to do is remove, let's say they do that. Not only do they de-incentivize even buying packs, period, they de-incentivize, they make it a huge jump to go from my classic experience to standard where suddenly all of these expansions matter that just didn't matter for you for so long as, a free-to-play player. They'd just be, you would just be getting more free-to-play cards, and you'd never then be able to move into having all of the, Knights of the Frozen Throne cards, right? So I think rather than that, give people what other games are doing where they incrementally increase their overall collection and not just one portion, which then leaves them wanting in the other spots, right?
I don't think he's necessarily talking about remaining free to play. I think he's just saying that if his brother experienced a little bit more success and didn't feel like he was just, losing to cards that he's never going to crack, then if he just had to collect a smaller collection to be competitive, that would make him more likely to turn from free-to-play into a pay-to-play Hearthstone player.
Well, no, but
to make that jump, because he doesn't want to invest and then still not do well, I guess.
No, but the problem is you're limiting it in a way where you're literally taking out all the expansions, and you're making this, like his suggestion is taking out all the expansions, so then your jump from, like, you won't actually jump from that into standard ever, because suddenly you're adding this massive amount of cards that you haven't even been collecting. And so you need to, rather than do that, you need to still allow them to be collecting cards from newer sets, but giving them away so that they feel like they're playing against people who are on equal footing than them.
Yeah.
So I think his ideas, like the goal of his idea is sound, but classic ladder is not the best way to handle it, because you suddenly, it's like teaching a kid, how to like write English, and we're only going to use nouns, and then you're like, all right, now you're in 6th grade and we use all the verbs and the pronouns and the blah blah, and they're like, but I only learned how to use these ones, so like
God,
you're limiting them, and then suddenly like moving them into a mode where everything is available isn't the best. Like, you don't want that large of a jump. You want incremental steps, and then suddenly they feel like they're ready. You know what I mean?
I still want starter decks or pre-made decks that you can just go and buy, and they can put on sale, and maybe they can tie it into the HGC season, where at the end of every finals they actually put up the winning decks, and you can go buy them.
Sure.
And maybe even have a way to earn just a free deck. That's something I would love, because I don't know, that's how I learned how to play Magic. That's how I learned how to play Pokemon when I was freaking 9 years old or 10 or however old I was when that came to the States. Like, it's such a staple of getting over the hump of even know where to begin with crafting a deck that I still can't believe it's not a thing in this game. And I know we have deck recipes, but it's not the same. It doesn't help you in any way with a more efficient or a discounted way to purchase good cards.
In some way, the deck recipes can make you feel like you're so far away from that deck that there's no point in even ever trying to get there, right? Yeah. And I think that's really the issue. If you open a recipe
and it's like you have 10 of 30 cards, you're just like, oh.
So I'm never going to have this deck.
Yeah, I'm just not going to do this.
So I think the real issue here is your brother's situation is not unique. There's a lot of people in this situation, but the answer is not to hide them from the world and then suddenly expect them to jump in at some certain point. The answer is to incrementally introduce them into the world that they're eventually going to inhabit, but during that same time, place them against other people who are in the same boat as them, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not basically going against, like, they're not, a squire fighting against a fully knighted or armored up knight. Like, they never have that feel, right? Of just, I can't win this game. There's no way I could win this game. I never could have won this game. If you could take that feel away, but still be rewarding them and still having them play with some of the newer cards and things like that, then like suddenly when they get to the point where they feel like their collection is strong enough that they can make a good deck, it's not like all of a sudden they've entered a world where they don't know what any of these cards are. They've never seen them. They're like, what the hell? What is the Lich King? All I've been playing with is like Tyrion was the best card I ever saw, and now everything's just different. That's I think the wrong way to approach this. The right way to approach it is somewhere in between that and what we have now. Again, I'll go back to Eternal. I'm playing that game completely free to play, and I've definitely butted up against the limit of what my decks can do at certain points. But when that happens, what it gives me these other options, like this free to play where I can earn a pack thing, this cheaper forge thing where I'm playing against AI and I'm earning packs and cards. All these like ways to then step away from other players and then still do something productive in the game is something that Hearthstone is sorely missing, right? There's just no way to earn things without just queuing into the ladder and hoping for the best. So hopefully that's something that they're kind of considering.
Well, the other side besides starter decks and everything we just talked about is limited, and putting more emphasis into Arena, or even maybe giving us other limited ways to play Hearthstone. I keep coming back to it. The game's old now.
Free Arena against AI is like basically what the Forge is, right? And that would be, I think a lot of people would play that mode. trying to earn their collection.
Yeah. The game's old now. There's definitely room for other ways to play the game, and I'd like to see a lot more weight shifted to a limited version of Hearthstone.
Yeah. My buddy Ty is also kind of getting in the game, and if it wasn't for the fact that he knows me, a guy who's like doing like, a very popular podcast about the game, he probably would have given up. But, I keep coming to him like, okay, let me take a look at your deck. Okay, that card is terrible. That card is terrible. It's like he doesn't know that card's terrible. And he gets a new card and he just throws it into his deck. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to be frustrated, man. And this is the experience a lot of people are having.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you like fix that? How do you then like, because he came to me, he was like, I can't get past 18. I get to 18 and I'm capped. Like, and I can never win again. So you got to get rid of it. And then he doesn't feel like there's anywhere to go. He waits for the next tavern brawl. He gets his one free pack and then he doesn't play for a week, So that's not the best way. We're clearly not doing the best we can do.
Yeah.
In Hearthstone.
No. And I think Team 5 agrees, and Ben Brode brings it up constantly. It's just that we haven't heard anything new on that front. It's just like tournament mode, how we're like, they're aware, but,
I want them to take a chance, though. I want them to just kind of dive in and say, here's a thing. We're going to try it. If it doesn't work, we'll axe it.
Yeah, they do it with cards, do it with features. I mean, I guess they did do it with synergy picks, but freaking synergy picks are the dumbest thing ever.
Well, like, they put out a card like Archbishop Benedictus, like, and everyone was like, what the, you can't, what? And it's like, so yeah, there's a lot of creativity in there. I just want to see creativity around game features, too.
Yeah, or I mean, any card that's nerfed, you could point to and say, there's something they tried that clearly, in their eyes, did not work out and they needed to address. That's fine. Do it with a tournament mode. Do it with other ways to play limited. I just want to try something new. Then the next episode's going to come on. We're going to talk about how it's kind of busted. They'll fix it, and the game will be amazing like the current ladder is. So let's just let's try some new things, folks. All right.
Yeah, see, ladder's really fun for me, though, because I have all the cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Ladder is what I play.
Yeah, I can't compare that experience. Like, Slayer in the chat just says, cool, you guys like limited and hope they figure something out, but I hate playing bad cards and bad decks. So not for me. Well, see, there you go. It's not for you, but there are people that it is for, and that's who that's who needs to be addressed. Right?
And also,
see, I'm in the same boat, I think, as Slayer King, right? Like, I don't love Arena. I don't love Limited. But
you might not love Arena, but you might love the other version that they come out with, right? Like,
maybe.
I
feel like Garrett's gonna like piss himself if he doesn't get out whatever he needs to say.
All I wanted to say was, Slayer King, you're missing what I think is the coolest point of limited things, which are bad cards aren't necessarily bad cards in limited versions of card games, and that's kind of what makes them cool.
Yeah, that's true. There are some cards that are super bad and constructed, but so good in Arena, right? And when I play things like the Forge and Eternal, there's some cards that I look at, I'm just like, oh, good, I got that, but they're not in any of my constructed. It's a totally just different way to look at the same cards. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I was just like, oh, but bad cards are what make it awesome.
I don't think I've ever seen you squirm that much, ever.
That's what makes it cool, man. It's the same damn cards every same damn day playing constructed, and then you get into Arena, and it's like, oh, yeah, Yeti is good. Why not? Let's go. But anyways, Jocelyn, final email for today.
Yeah, this email actually kind of plays into a lot of the stuff we've been talking about today. It comes to us from Tanner R. It says, Dear Demented Dino Descendants, I'm just a few mage wins away from getting all the golden heroes. While I'm excited to get to that milestone, I wonder if no longer having a clearly defined goal will make me lose interest in the game. I guess the only thing left to do is fill out my collection. I like to play more mid-range to control type decks, and there's no worse feels bad moment than spending 15 plus minutes in a match only to lose and have nothing to show for it. This got me thinking, why stop the leveling system at 60? When I play Overwatch, I experience whether I win or lose until, I get experience whether I win or lose, and so the feeling of progression is constant. Why not reward players for the time they put in, even if they're not completing quests? Every level could maybe earn you a golden common from the standard or wild set, depending on the ladder you play. Do you think this would make playing slower decks feel more worthwhile? Thanks. I agree. I think we need achievements or rewards or levels that don't stop at 60 or, just everything's still the same level as it was in terms of leveling and rewards and stuff, like as it was when we first started Hearthstone. The heroes all stop at 60, the wins all stop at 500. There's no rewards past that, and I think that's a huge mistake. And I know, Dills, like, you just finished all your golden heroes. Like,
yep.
Do you
No,
like?
it's
And
great
so
to have them
obviously,
all.
all of your heroes are at 60. Like, wouldn't
Yeah.
you want to do something like? And I know Heroes does this system as well, where it's like when you level up, you get a reward. And as much as like, I don't necessarily want to see something like loot boxes come into Hearthstone. We've already got enough of that just with packs themselves. But if you could just throw a pack as a reward for leveling or something, or golden cards are a great example too. Like, for every 10 levels, give a golden pack. Like, that would be great. And I would love to see them incentivize playing past the 60/500 point, because I know
60 to 61 could be a really long time, but then at the end, if you get a pack, like that'd be so sweet, and it would incentivize people to continue to have something that they feel like they're working towards.
Yeah.
And that,
other than just the legend grind, which obviously is something that's constantly there, but.
Sure. But I'm gonna feel like a little bit of a broken record. But Eternal is a pretty new game and has a full achievement system, and all of this kind of stuff that for some reason Hearthstone just doesn't have. You could keep like leveling up, and they make it after you get to, I think it's level 5. You start leveling a full level, it gets you only a third of a level, and it's like, so it really slows things down. But you also at the, like, let's say you level from 6 to 7 with red mana. Sometimes they just give you a new emote that can be used if you like use a hero that's like a red hero or whatever, right? So there's so many other things that can be offered that aren't just cards and gold and stuff like that. Like, I earn an emote. Wow. Like, I have an emote no one else has because I got to level 80 on priest.
I was gonna say, if I could earn Sorry back, I would do whatever that was just to unlock Sorry.
I mean, there's so many things they could offer that are really cool. It's not just, I think, I hope that Team 5 is considering all the options, because there's so many ways to incentivize people to just want to play the game. And obviously, the fun of the game is supposed to be the biggest incentive. But let's be honest, humans don't work that way. We need to have a little piece of cheese at the end of our maze. So.
And Morning Pants in the chat room is saying that they have apparently said they wouldn't do that because it encourages botting.
Well, botting already happens, and you can just ban the bots. So.
Well, and that's just what I was gonna say. Saying that they're not implementing like things that would make actual players happy because it encourages something that is cheating. Just don't be lazy. Like, catch the cheaters.
Yeah.
I'd like to play devil's advocate here and say that you both are assuming that we get rewards, and I could easily see this be added with nothing except a number that gets larger, and if that's what we ended up getting, I don't care. And I don't care about the golden cards you already unlocked through leveling up as it is. And Tanner, I don't actually, anywhere in Tanner's email, I don't think they mentioned rewards. They just, it sounded to me like they were just suggesting just let it go past 60, and to me I just don't.
Well, no, he said why not reward players for the time they put in, not just completing quests. So
yeah, and he said it could earn you a golden common or from the standard website.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
So it's basically saying, like, same as Overwatch, where you level up and get a loot box, same in Heroes, where again you level up and get a loot box. Just having something at the end of the level, or for every, like, when you get to 1,000 wins with a hero or something. Because I know for me, I don't really play Hunter anymore because I already have my Golden Hunter. So I feel like any games I put in on Hunter, even though it's my favorite class, is almost wasted because I should be working on grinding other stuff because I don't have all the golden heroes yet. Yeah. Once I get to the golden hero point and I have all the golden heroes, I feel like, me personally, just knowing the way I play, I'll probably, I don't know, I'll be like, well, what do I even do now? And then I might just go play something else that gives me, I'd be like, oh, I'll work on old WoW achievements or something. Because, Dills, I think you're 100% right. At least for me as a player, and I know I'm not alone, I need the cheese. I need the incentive. I need the, the ding and the shoot of, adrenaline or whatever the chemical is that makes me addicted to video games.
I will say this, though. Once I got all 9, I was concerned about maybe it would curtail me from wanting to play Hearthstone as much, but it really hasn't. In fact, it's made it so that it feels really cool when I log in. I'm in my collection screen, and every single deck on the right is like glowing and animated and stuff. And when I every no matter what game I play, my hero power is lit up and my hero is animated. Like that does
shiny. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me feel like, yeah, I did it. I'm shiny. I can play anything I want now. It's like the world has opened up to me. So there's arguments for both, but it also depends on what the reward. Like when it's golden classes are the reward, then it's like something you want to show off to the world. You want to wield your new fun toy. But when it's like reaching level 60 on every class, like I did that so long ago, and I remember not even feeling proud or cool or anything. I was just kind of, okay, I guess that happened, you know. And so, you know, I would like to see it. I want to see that bar continue to fill up a little bit every game, you know. Just the little bar filling up is just such a, I don't know what it is about it, but there's such a little, like, this little shot of dopamine or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, you feel like you're accomplishing something, even though it's pixels on a screen. It still makes you feel like you're doing something.
Man, I must be broken, or I see the Matrix, because I couldn't give less of a crap about anything just discussed here. Like, I don't care about a level up bar. I don't even really care about golden heroes.
What?
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I like Arthas because it's just gold as hell. Like, there couldn't be more golden. But it's just, I don't know. It's never been that big of a motivator for me. I guess that's, I don't know. Not that Dills and Joss, you guys, it's not like you guys also haven't been asking for just more ways to play the game, but I've just always been focused on that since the beginning. I don't know. I guess because I expected Arena to get deeper, and here we are 4 years later, and it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I've never lost any interest because of not having these rewards, but that's just, you know, because again, it's like Hearthstone is just my favorite game to play, right?
Yeah.
So, and I still log it. Like right now, I'm logging and having a blast with all these fun ideas and new decks and coming up with crazy stuff. So, yeah, I could take it or leave it, but I'm just thinking of like the big majority of people out there that I think do kind of need these continual carrots on a stick in front of them that they can always be shooting for. You know?
Well, and maybe, you know, that probably says something about my opinion of the rewards for already leveling up, because I think it does work for me in Heroes. I will go into my selection of heroes, select by closest to hitting a new level,
closest to leveling,
and play whatever's on my quest so that I get gold and also unlock some loot boxes. And I don't want loot boxes for Hearthstone. I really don't.
No, but we got packs.
Right,
Packs,
exactly.
which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, so I think you're onto something. Whereas, like, because the leveling up, why is it even there beyond the golden cards that you get along the way?
I'll say this: in my free-to-play account, I couldn't care less about when those new cards when it's something goes, oh, you have gold in this. I'm like, all right, whatever. Because you know, it's like you really don't care. But on my main account, it is annoying to log in and be like, because you're right, like the heroes one, it's like a never-ending grind because there's so many heroes and so many things to earn, and you know, so that always makes you kind of wary of where you are on each one. And in Hearthstone, like, I'm no longer wary at all of my classes and what I'm doing, and if I'm close to anything.
Yeah, I think
it just isn't anything anymore.
I think we've just been getting a pack every time we leveled up, or every 5 levels. That would have, I think, severely increased the fun factor or the care factor, like caring about it at all in any way, shape, or form, probably. So.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, you level up to the first, probably like level 10-ish, maybe 15, really, really quickly on each of your heroes. Imagine if each time you leveled up, you got a pack of cards. How quickly that would allow new players to actually build up their collection, and maybe then we don't even need any of these things we were talking about with the previous email of fixing the ladder and stuff. If it was just easier at the beginning to build your collection, then maybe that would be enough to, you know, fix these new player problems. So I don't see why we don't just get packs when we level up our heroes, and I don't see why it doesn't keep going after 60, because it really slows down after 60
to 61 takes forever.
Well, yeah, like after about 45, I feel like the leveling in Hearthstone period, just like it did slow right down. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but
no, you're right.
I feel like I went really, really quickly up to about 40, and then it was just like, oh my God, really?
Yep.
There's a sweet spot in there of how to address those rewards, but getting the golden versions of those basic cards is pretty cool for new players, I think. But yeah, at a certain point, just, start giving us some packs. I'd be into it.
Yeah, why not? certainly doesn't hurt anything, whether I'm excited about a bar moving some more or not. I don't think it doesn't hurt my experience, but if I'm getting a pack, hell yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your emails. Again, keep them coming to tacpodcast@gmail.com. BlizzCon's around the corner, folks. What are you hoping for? Send those emails in. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again to our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. All over 500 bosses that we now have. Thank you. Thank you for letting us, not work weekends and leave early on holidays. You're some really good bosses. We appreciate it. The Angry Chicken can be found over at amove.tv or youtube.com/amovetv, where you can find the entire back catalog of every single episode we've ever done, going on 4 years as of this Sunday, I believe, is our 4-year anniversary. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Declan H., Peter Williams, Michael N., Sean C., and Johnny S. You are all extremely generous and awesome. Also, we have swag available. If you want to grab an Angry Chicken t-shirt to run around BlizzCon at, because if I see you wearing it, I'm going to come and accost you with excitement. You can get that over at shirts.amove.tv. We also have glassware available over at etched.amove.tv. Typically, we record live Tuesday nights at 4 p.m. Eastern right here on twitch.tv/amovetv. And other than that, Dills, you do other podcasts and streams and whatnot. Where can folks find all of that?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills, and Twitch is twitch.tv/WillieDills. You can check out the 1-900 Wrestling podcast that I do with Justin Robert Young on Mondays. That's we stream it on his channel, but then it's available in all the podcasting places. But starting this Monday, hopefully, if things come together, we'll be continuing that podcast, moving to my channel, and doing something Hearthstone related, which should be quite fun. So I don't want to give everything out yet, just because we haven't fully done it, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to see me and Justin casting some games in a way you probably haven't seen people casting games in Hearthstone. So, yeah, join us on Monday nights on my channel, twitch.tv/WillieDills. This is the first one will happen this Monday.
Nice. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
Twitter and Twitch, I'm at Joss Plays. You can also find me on AMove TV every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for my general gaming podcast called The Gamers Inn. We're doing Shadow of War this week, so I'm excited.
Did that come out today?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I know what I'm playing tonight. Folks, I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art, where I am being oblivious to the release of Tolkien-themed video games. And every podcast I do, including this one, can be found at amove.tv. I would recommend going and subscribing wherever you get your podcast to embrace the spoilers, because we just posted our final episode of the original Indiana Jones trilogy, where Jocelyn has now officially seen every Indiana Jones movie. Yay!
I understand all the jokes.
Yeah. No ticket. This belongs in a museum.
Turns out, not a line from Hearthstone, guys.
Yeah, feels like fortune cookie. All those things. Screaming for 45 minutes if it's Temple of Doom. All those kind of things. So go find Embrace the Spoilers and listen to that. It's a lot of fun. And I haven't been advertising my graphic design services for a while, but my car is broken and it's expensive to fix. So if you need art made, go to nomoonart.com. You'll be able to see my graphic design portfolio, and there is a contact form right there to let me know about your project and get in touch with me. So check that out. Again, nomoonart.com. It's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you all for listening. And until next week, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!